on innovative work incentive practices. So we are really trying to highlight some of those non-traditional methods of incentivizing employees. Today's webinar, which I'm very excited about, is focused on Patagonia and how on-site childcare can lead to increased and improved productivity. Before we jump into today's presentation, a couple of logistics to share with you. All of the participants are on mute, and that is just to help us eliminate background noise. If you have questions, which we definitely want to encourage, please go ahead and make sure to post them in the chat box. So we will monitor the chat box throughout the webinar today, and we will ask those questions to our presenter after she's done providing an overview of that improved productivity. The other thing I just want to remind you is that we do, at the end of the webinar, have a 1-minute survey that we ask everyone to complete. One randomly selected respondent will receive a $15 Amazon card. The survey literally takes 1 minute. It's really helpful to get your feedback, so we really encourage you to go ahead and complete that survey. And again, we want to encourage you to ask questions as they come up during the presentation. So I am delighted today to introduce our presenter, Cheryl Shushan, who has a long history of passion for young children and families. What I thought was really fantastic is that after first graduating from college, Cheryl actually opened up her own private preschool where she served as the director, really dedicated to kindergarten readiness through play-based education. So pretty amazing that she did that right after school. Throughout her career, and she actually became the manager of Colorado's Early Childhood Leadership Commission, and that commission serves as the state's advisory council on early childhood. And I think that, for me, was really key just because Work-Life Partnership, the sponsor of this series, is based in Colorado, so it's nice to have that connection. And Cheryl currently serves as the Director of Global Family Services for Patagonia. In this role, she is responsible for the employee programs that support working families, such as on-site childcare, childcare subsidies, and travel support. Cheryl, we know that you are super busy, so we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. So welcome. And Cheryl, if you're with us, we're not hearing you. You might be on mute.
Hi, everyone. This is Cheryl. Thanks, Summer, for kicking it to me. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Great. Thanks. And also thank you, Work-Life Partnership, for inviting Patagonia to chime in on innovative workplace practices. A little company history as we get started. Can you advance the slide, Jade? Thank you. Patagonia was founded in 1973 by Yvon Chouinard alongside his wife, Melinda. As an outdoor clothing and gear company, Patagonia has pursued its mission to build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, and use business to inspire solutions to the environmental crisis. The product line covers nearly every activity that can be performed outdoors, from climbing to skiing to snowboarding to yoga to swimming. There's certainly no shortage of activities that people love to do outside. We're a privately held company with approximately 2,200 employees. About 22% of our workforce is in Ventura, which is our headquarters, another 25% in our distribution center and customer center in Reno, Nevada, another 25% in our retail stores around the world, and another 25% in our global offices. We sell our products around the world in our owned and operated retail stores through e-commerce and through wholesale accounts. North America is our largest market at about 75%. I would say about the company is that we are a benefit corporation, a B Corp. We're the first in California in 2012. As a B Corp, Patagonia is legally required to consider its environmental and social impacts. We actually took it one step further by incorporating specific commitments into our articles of incorporation. One of the 6 commitments we have taken is providing a supportive work environment for our employees. So it's something we feel really strongly about. Advance the slide, please. For Patagonia, a supportive work environment is one that seamlessly blends work and life. It's a really unique environment where parents can have their kids at work. Activists and environmentalists can work off-site protecting the places they love. We have flexible hours so athletes can get out to surf, ski, or climb. And if you compliment Yvonne on the culture, he'll chuckle and say something like, I had to create a company where I wanted to go to work, or remember, work has to be fun. So this is really the very essence of Patagonia's company culture. Patagonia is recognized for innovative workplace practices. Beyond encouraging each employee to find work-life balance and get out and enjoy life, Patagonia is very committed to providing a supportive work environment and high-quality health care. Advance, please. We have a comprehensive list of family services and policies, and it includes things like paternity and adoption leave at 12 weeks, maternity leave at 16 weeks, medical leave at 12 weeks, and something that you don't hear about very often, military leave at 12 weeks. And so this is for active military duty or also when an employee is needed to care for a family member who is in the military. We also provide adoption assistance up to $10,000 and have a travel support program. So this is something that's referred to as the traveling nanny program. It is when work travel is required for parents of infants up to 12 months and also for moms who are nursing babies up to any age. Patagonia will pay for the cost of a caregiver to travel with the employee parent and the child and provide care while that parent's in meetings, visiting factories, those sorts of things. In fiscal year 17, we provided 66 days of travel support in 18 trips, and it cost us an estimated $12,000 for the year. So it's a really great program to provide families to take the stress off of having to travel for work and figuring out who's going to care for very young children, especially those that are still nursing, and has a relatively low cost. We also provide childcare tuition assistance. It's a subsidy to offset the high cost of childcare for full and part-time employees who do not work in a location where Patagonia offers on-site childcare. In fiscal year 17, we had 28 employees who received this subsidy, totaling approximately $35,000. In addition to that, we also provide subsidies for families who are enrolled in our on-site childcare, and in FY17 spent about $38,000 on that program. All of these programs and policies are obviously very amazing. Please advance. Yet the heart of our company and the heart of our headquarters and the anchor of Patagonia's supportive work environment is our company-run on-site child care facilities. The Great Pacific Child Development Center, GPCDC, and the Truckee River Child Development Center, TRCDC, were founded about 33 years ago. It really started out of necessity in 1983 when Patagonia was 10 years old. Filing cabinets were being used as bassinets. There were children running around everywhere. It was chaos and no one could get any work done. More importantly, we had a mother who had a colicky baby, and she was resorting to her car to breastfeed, and it was just absolutely unacceptable. So Melinda Chenard had this trailer delivered to the parking lot of Patagonia and hired someone to start providing babysitting and provide a quiet place for moms to come and nurse their babies and for families to, take time out of their day to read a book, spend a little bit of time, put a child down for a nap, that sort of thing. So this is 1983. They quickly realized that there were rules, regulations, and best practices around providing child care, and so they created the Great Pacific Child Development Center. They went on to immediately hire an early childhood expert as the director who worked here for 33 years and also made a very strong commitment to quality child care. Next slide, please. So fast forward 33 years from 1983, and today we offer full-time Patagonia subsidized child care for employees in 2 locations. We have one location here at headquarters in Ventura, California. We have another center, the Truckee River Child Development Center, at our Distribution Center and Customer Service Center in Reno, Nevada. We serve children 8 weeks through kindergarten with an after-school program and a summer camp program for children up to age 9 in Ventura only. We have the capacity to serve 180 children in 11 classrooms currently, and we're growing and expanding every day. We have about 35,000 square feet dedicated to childcare, both inside and outside, and we have about a staff of 42 teachers. There's two things I would highlight about our model. Patagonia's philosophy to childcare is very mission-driven. We do things like make a strong commitment to spending as much part of the day outside, believing that anything you can do inside, you can do outside. We are very intentional about building relationships with nature. We believe in being active, eating healthy foods, and really being a part of a community, making friends, taking risks, all through play. So it's a really delightful environment to spend time. This picture here is of our playground that all children visit between the ages of 2 to 5 for a large portion of the day. And obviously you can see it's been established for a long time, has lots of great landscape and mature trees. If you're interested in learning more about our philosophy, Melinda Chenard and her friend and colleague Jennifer Ridgway wrote a book in 2016 titled Family Business. The other thing I would mention about Patagonia's model is that it's fully integrated into our company culture. So this yard is actually right outside our cafe and by reception and centrally located on campus. So children can be heard and seen throughout the day. But it's another important point to stress that leadership really carries the vision for the Child Development Center. One example of that is that the company is 100% committed to supporting nursing moms and encourages breastfeeding and pumping in lactation rooms and in the classrooms throughout the day. They also expect dads to come down and bottle feed multiple times a day. You know, this is a critical time for children to be establishing bonds with their parents and their caregivers. And so the company has just really put a stake in the ground and said, please, please go and breastfeed and bottle feed your young children and take time out of your workday to do that. The reason it's so important to stress that dads also do it is because here in Ventura, 54% of the infants who are currently enrolled are here because their fathers are the employees of Patagonia. So a lot of dads who are carpooling their children to and from work and being the primary caregiver during the day. Even with a highly engaged and committed leadership team, though, it's hard to provide. It can be challenging and hard to provide on-site child care. I would say the biggest challenge we face today is meeting the continued demand because we do everything humanly possible to avoid having children on a wait list. And as we grow as a company, of course, we hire new families who want to bring their children here for on-site child care, and then we have families who are having children. So in the past 18 months, we will nearly double our capacity in the infant and preschool program in Ventura. It requires us to reallocate prime real estate with direct access to yards. So we're on the first floor of many buildings so that we have direct access to outside. And so, you know, we're moving offices to make room for childcare. We're increasing resources to design and build and operate new classrooms, managing construction, and, of course, finding top talent to expand the teaching teams and make sure that the philosophies that are most important to us are lived out every day in the classroom. It's worth it, we know. Patagonia knows that the benefits of offering on-site childcare far outweigh the risks or the costs associated with the program. Next slide, please. So before we jump into the impact, let's just talk a little bit about the business case. Patagonia makes a strong business case for on-site childcare with over 90% of the investment recouped in tax benefits, employee retention, and engagement. The breakdown of the roughly $1 million Patagonia backfills to offer the on-site childcare, 50% is recouped in tax benefits. There's a $150,000 federal tax credit that companies may be eligible to receive. We also We also recoup 35% because of income tax reduction. So now we're at about 50%, 500,000. 30% is recouped from employee retention. So we calculate cost savings from lost productivity while a position is vacant, plus recruitment, relocation expenses, training time, and getting someone up to speed. This can range based on the person's job description, but it could be 20% of an annual salary for an hourly employee, up to 125% of an annual salary for a manager. So we estimate that at about 30% of the expenses, so $300,000 a year. The other 11% comes from the increased employee engagement. So this is really hard to evaluate and put a figure on, but we do know that surveys of our employees and the feedback from our employees reveal happy, healthy, loyal, more productive employees. So we've conservatively estimated this at about 10%. So we spend about $1 million a year. We figure we recoup about 90% of that investment. Why do we do it? Set aside that we do it because it's the right thing to support working families, and it's also led to brand recognition, and just consider some of these stats. 95% of moms return to work after maternity leave in both Ventura and Reno, compared to the national average of 65 to 70%. We have more women in leadership with gender parity at all levels, including managers, directors, the executive team, and the board. We have pay parity between men and women. And in Reno, this stat is really interesting because we have provided on-site childcare since 1983 in Ventura, but it took us 20 years to open it in our distribution center and customer service center in Reno. And so this stat, and that was in 2016. So within a short period of time, we've built a full program there between the ages of 8 weeks through to kindergarten. In Reno, which is our distribution center and our customer service hub, last year we had around 7% voluntary turnover compared to the national average, which is 30 to 45%. So can we attribute it all to on-site childcare? No, but we do know that our employees are so grateful for providing the opportunity to have their kids on site, and they're hourly employees, and they're coming down to breastfeed and spend time with their children on breaks and lunches, and it's working, and it's just an amazing benefit to provide. We also know that HR uses on-site childcare as a recruiting tool to attract top talent. So, and we also know finally that over 1,500 children have gone through GPCDC. We have 13 second-generation employees who went to GPCDC somewhere along the way. On-site childcare is attracting the workforce talent today, and it's building the workforce talent of tomorrow. All of this and more validates why Patagonia believes the investment in on-site childcare has undeniably strengthened the company's bottom line. It's the right thing to do for people, and it addresses a lot of workplace issues upstream. Next slide. So I'm going to kick it over to Jade to start a video, because why take it from me? Thought it would be great to hear from some of my colleagues. It's a hard choice which video to choose from, because we do have a number of them at patagonia.com/family business, but this one is about we can be both mothers at work.
I mean, it's the peace of mind that allows me to work. My child is not only on campus with me, but he's in the building next door. I wouldn't have come back to work had this program not been here. I would have stayed home with Gabe until he was school age.
The baby right now just downstairs, and I ran down somewhere in 1 minute, so I can hold my baby, I can feel him, then I come upstairs and continue my work.
Even just the commute was time together. It gave me the ability to stretch and take on something more, and know that I wasn't having to put them in a position where they were paying for that. They got actually more of me rather than less.
You know, it takes just as long to go pump as it does to actually go to the room and be able to sit with your child and nurse your child. And so the support from the company, whether I was in a meeting with our CEO or some of my coworkers, everyone has been incredibly supportive.
It increases a sense of closeness, not to mention the physical bond.
It really is not just making a living, it really is making a life. And having the kids here, it not only brings it all full circle that my family is here at work with me every day, but it also brings them up in a way that I want them to be brought up. It ingrains in them values that you can't get by intentionally teaching. You get it by exposure, and they're just here and they're in the middle of it all day, every day.
When women's careers are starting to really kick in is often the time when we're thinking about starting a family. And it is a struggle, and you're asking yourself all these questions. And at Patagonia, it was a no-brainer. I could do both. Other businesses should be able to look at this and see how it has made the kids flourish, the parents flourish, enabled women and men to fully engage in their career life as well as their family life, and not skip a beat on either.
I feel like it is the most amazing kind of best of both worlds blended together.
We get to do both, and I feel like as a woman going to college and starting out my career, I was told that, and I don't think it really is as possible for everyone when you don't have the ability to bring your kids with you and see them and be a part of their everyday, but also go to meetings and truly juggle it all, but in the same space.
From the very beginning, the friends and people who share the same core values and passions for climbing, the environment, having fun, getting out in nature. As the company grew, these people had children and they brought them to work. And when Patagonia was only 10 years old, this group of dirtbags founded Untitled Chapter at Patagonia for people who like to rock climb and get outside. But we know this can be done. My top tip, start small, do your homework, go for it. Consider serving only infants and toddlers. When we opened a Truckee River Child Development Center, we started with an infant classroom, and as those infants grew, we built classrooms to continue to meet their development. And so now we have classrooms from, like I said, birth to kindergarten. Put in a lactation room. Moms, you know, we don't want moms pumping in the parking lot. That's what we said at Patagonia. No, we're going to get a trailer. We're going to make a spot for them. This is important. Increase your family leave. So there is no time like the present. As the percentage of millennials in the workforce continues to grow, employers face new challenges, and innovative workplace practices are necessary to be competitive. You don't hear a lot about businesses who are providing on-site childcare because it's not part of their core business. But last year, 24 out of Fortune's 100 best companies to work for offered on-site childcare. We're talking companies like Home Depot, Cliff Bar, Nike, Boeing, Goldman Sachs, 21st Century Fox, Prudential. And last year, I personally connected with 25 companies. Some were small, some were mid-sized, some were private, some were public, who were interested in implementing strategies to support working families. And this doesn't include the companies and groups my colleagues connected with, many of whom are seriously considering on-site childcare. It's possible, it can be done, and it's well worth the investment. Out of everything Patagonia does, from worn wear to fair trade to public lands, 1% for the planet, Yvonne has been known to point out on numerous occasions that the kids who come through our child care centers are Patagonia's best product. Thanks for taking a little bit of time with me today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Cheryl, thank you so much. So I have to admit that I already have a closet full of Patagonia clothing, but this makes me want to run out and buy some more. So thank you. And, you know, I think what I'm really impressed by is that, as you know, looking back at 1983, how forward-thinking Patagonia was to even put that trailer in place. I mean, it's just remarkable. And I love now that, you know, you've progressed to the point where you even have a traveling nanny program. It's really impressive. So I'm curious, if you don't mind sharing, is there anything that that Patagonia has tried over the years that hasn't worked?
So I wouldn't necessarily say it hasn't worked. It worked at the time, but we kind of outgrew it. So at one point, Patagonia partnered with community sites, lots of family child care homes, which is a great setting, especially for younger kids. And so we built a big network of family child care home providers so that we could place infants because we didn't have the space on campus. And it served us well, and it was a terrific program. But over time, we knew that we just wanted to identify space that was close to our offices so that we could really support the breastfeeding and bottle feeding. And so we moved from a off-site partnership with family child care homes to actually dedicating more square footage at our headquarters so that we could have those infants closer to their parents.
Yeah, that sounds like a great learning, and it's actually a great segue into our next question, which, you know, one of our webinar participants is asking, what kind of legal clearances or risk mitigation do you have to have in place to be able to have on-site childcare? And then what about things like state licensing and who runs the program?
So in terms of our org structure, on-site childcare and family services does sit in the shared services department of Patagonia. That is finance, human resources, and legal. And within that department, I report to the general counsel. So there is a commitment to make sure that our structure is in place to mitigate risk. The Great Pacific Child Development Center is incorporated. We have Patagonia Works, which is our umbrella organization, and within that, the Great Pacific Child Development Center is a company. So in terms of state rules and regulations, there's a child care licensing office in every state. The rules and regulations vary state by state. So it's important to connect with that department. And they do set out guidelines, and obviously you have to be licensed if you're going to provide on-site child care, which we realize. And it kind of it provides guidance on how minimum square footage for indoor space and outdoor space, teacher-child ratios, group size, those sorts of things. So it's definitely both of those things need to be addressed, and research needs to be done to figure out what your org structure would look like and who your child care licensing agency would be and how you would partner with them.
Well, it's great that they actually give you that guidance, because I would imagine that that's really helpful to keep in mind as you're building out your on-site child care center. I wonder, do you think that having an on-site child care center can be done by any company in any industry, or do you think that, as a retailer and manufacturer, that Patagonia is really in like a niche area?
I absolutely think it can be done by any company, any size, in any location. It looks different. So our warehouse is huge, and it's not next to our cafe, and so it's across the warehouse, large warehouse. People are used to walking long distances, so it looks a little different in any location. But as long as you have some core values that you hold true, and we certainly encourage companies to explore how they can have it reflect their mission and to really integrate it into the company culture if you want to see this really organic and authentic impact on your community, where it's a supportive work environment, supporting families and parents, and and that looks a lot of different ways. So absolutely, anywhere, at any time. So if you're small, right, and just getting started, I talk to startups, right, who are thinking about doing this for 13 employees and growing into it. There's other companies that are, large companies, and they're wanting to get engaged in this because, it's an important, innovative workplace practice to be thinking about for the future.
Yeah, so I would almost take that as a bit of a challenge to everyone who is listening to today's webinar to go out there and try to figure out how you might be able to do it and establish some kind of on-site childcare and support, because it does sound like it makes a huge difference. Cheryl, thank you so much for being with us today. I think Patagonia is doing some remarkable work in supporting families, and it's really impressive. And I know because you've got so much going on, you are really busy, so we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today.
Absolute pleasure, Summer, and great to be involved in Work-Life Partnerships work. So thank you so much for having us. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
And for those of you still with us, just want to encourage you to complete the survey.